Good morning. Welcome to the second day of the final conference of the Medical Tourism Strategy Conference, which is part of the Interreg Greece-Italy program. Welcome to the conference. Today's session is going to be dedicated to the results of the project, and the second session will make reference to medical tourism in the post-COVID era. We are going to start with a presentation of the total results of the project. Can you see this? This is not the presentation that I want. This is the next presentation. Thank you. So, our program is implemented in the transnational area of Italy and Greece. Let's have a look at the data. As we said, its title is Innovative Medical Tourism Strategy. It's part of Interreg Greece-Italy 2004-2020. In the priority access, innovation and competitiveness, it promotes the boosting of research, technological growth and innovation, and the special objective is the provision of innovative support services and the development of networks for the boosting of competitiveness. It started in 2017 and it's going to be completed on Tuesday. As we have said, the main beneficiary is the EOP, and we have the participation of the Ministry of Tourism, the Municipality of Santa Cesara, the University of Patras, and the Chamber of Commerce of Brindisi. Let's have a look at the main areas where we operated. First of all, we tried to highlight some infrastructure for medical tourism. We saw who provides this in this transnational area. We made a regulation and articles of association for the clusters operating in this. We examined competition. We made a sustainability and a plan and a business plan and a marketing plan for medical tourism. To support all these actions, we proceeded to the creation of some technological applications. First of all, the e-platform, the e-tour facilitator, and the GIS platform. The e-tour facilitator is going to be discussed mainly by the University of Patras, which was responsible for delivering this. Now, as regards the promotion of the project, we're going to hear more about this by Mrs. Irini Brachou, who is the communication officer of EOP. We made campaigns, info dates, conferences. Now, the actions dedicated to the promotion of innovation, we have the creation of a unit of technological development and the creation of a network of interested parties and an e-cluster. Then, as regards the promotion of medical tourism, we established an international symposium on medical tourism, an international conference on medical tourism, the creation of support centres for medical tourism and workshops for knowledge transfer. Now, looking at the main actions for the development of infrastructure, first of all, we created a database to record all providers in medical tourism in each of the two countries. These data contain accommodation providers, health providers, medical providers, and a GIS environment. Let's have a look at what it looks like in a bit. No, I can't do that. Okay, I'll try later. So visitors can organize tours to serve their needs comprehensively, both for accommodation and for healthcare. We also created a draft Articles of Association and a regulation for registering with the cluster and its management. We analysed how things stand in medical tourism, which includes the provided services and the strategies developed in the area. We studied the structural elements of the existing situation to define the required strategy and the means to achieve this. And finally, we conducted a comparative evaluation of marketing strategies in medical tourism to define the final action plan. Now, the technology and innovation actions. The Innovation Development Unit is a research center. So the platform essentially allowed us to create a lot of offerings in the technological field. The e-cluster, when someone registers there, offers the data of their business, which means that users can search by category of provider and category of service, while they can also search based on geographic criteria. As regards the e-facilitator, I'm going to briefly say that it's a platform focused on end users of medical tourism and allows the creation of a package combining health services and tourist services depending on the needs of the end user. Now, the two support centres, the one was created in Italy and the other of Patras at the Regional Tourism Centre, they provide support and information for business members of the clusters or businesses wishing to register. Now, the e-cluster platform helps in gathering the health and accommodation industry and their creation and their connection with the local industries, connecting medical information from both countries to exchange information and best practices. This platform allows networking and liaising, allows access to R&D and innovation, and the transfer of new types of business models to serve the end users of health, visitors, so patients. It is the main point of contact of users and the main channel for digital services. It thus completes in a functional environment all other subsystems of the IT system. Access to each specific group of users is through the appropriate certification mechanism so that each user has access to the services they're interested in, and we have a classified access rights. Now, the services it provides, first of all, information about provider businesses, then information about offered medical services overall by sector and by business. As regards the travel services, we have two links. One is a link to air and route connections, travel agents and accommodation, and the other link takes us to third-party systems. It also provides information on insurance coverage and on all offered services. It allows communication between providers and also the recording of frequently asked questions. It presents legal and institutional issues concerning health tourism and presents the various things offered by providers and by the AOP. What does the Technological Development Unit do? It aims to develop the technology aspect of businesses through the interconnection of businesses with research centres. It promotes research actions for new products and services or for the improving of existing products and services to provide innovative solutions And of course, it allows technological forecasts. What we did in Greece for our subscription there, and given that the action started after the outbreak of the pandemic, we proceeded to bespoke support services to health and accommodation service providers in the eligible areas who have developed or will develop transnational cooperations. These actions include the identification of the business's needs and the provision of proposals through technological means. The results include 15 health units collaborating and exchanging best practices through the e-platform, 15 health and tourist units connected through this, 120 health and tourism areas. So we had overall 1,000 unique visits to the tour facilitator, 500 visitors, and 10 innovative MSCs who participate through the Technology Development Unit. To utilize the result, we organized 2 international conferences on medical tourism in Greece and Italy, and we aspired to have this to become an established conference. We have developed synergies and we have participated in actions for the promotion and advertising. We have highlighted and promoted the guide for the advertising of medical tourism in the transnational area, and we have highlighted technological applications to attract new stakeholders and to perhaps make this cover a broader area. We started from this, but the results can be used beyond this. Thank you very much for your attention. I would just like to show you a TV spot before I finish that we have made. There's a country that is the home of health and tourism here, spas, medical tourism, and hydrotherapy offer a lot of options so that you can enjoy your holidays and health services. Tourism and health in Greece. The medical tourism strategy of the Interreg Greece-Italy 2014-2020. Thank you very much for your attention. We will now welcome Mrs. Prapou, the Communication Officer of the project, who is going to tell what happened for the promotion and advertising of the project. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to the International Conference on Medical Tourism, the final conference of the part of the Interreg project Greece, Italy on the promotion of medical tourism in the transnational area of Greece and Italy and beyond. The fact that this conference is organised with physical presence of attendance is very optimistic and promising, and perhaps signals a shift in normality and in our everyday lives, as it shows that the pandemic will at some point become a thing of the past. I would now like to take you on a journey, although I would really like to be with you today. Unfortunately, for personal reasons, I can't be there. But the presentation I'm going to show you has to do with the actions that we conducted for the advertising and promotion of the project, and I believe that these have also contributed to the creation of what we have achieved in the sector of medical tourism. So, the publicity and advertising actions followed a sustainable strategy as dictated by the Interreg, and we followed 4 axes. Promotion in social media, in traditional media, seminars, campaigns, conferences, so some events that were specific and important, and the production of advertising material. Specifically, we had some TV spots, some business presentations. First of all, I would like to tell you that from the start of implementation of the project, we created the official website of the project. It's www.InMedTouR.eu. We see a snapshot. I welcome you to visit it because it provides continuously updated information on the project, and visitors can receive useful information regarding the targets of the project, the actions conducted, the various partners, as well as to enter the eTour Facilitator platform, which was developed in the context of the project. Now, apart from this official website we have the website of Interreg, where we have a dedicated site, a web page for our project, as it does for all projects, and there too we can find useful information about the implemented projects. Now, as regards the social media, we created a Twitter page which was not very popular because most social media users mainly use Facebook. So on Facebook, we have a page which I would like you to like and follow. It's this page here. And there we continuously update news regarding what's happening in the project, and we have used some hashtags InMedTouR, Interact, and others to attract more and more visitors. We have reached 250 followers, and we're expecting more. Now, the events. I'm going to present them as a timeline, the most significant events, where first of all, a trip of the journey of InMedTouR started in October 2018 in Yanina. There we had the first meeting where partners got to know each other and set the objectives and the schedule for the implementation of the project. They showed this was promoted at the local press in all involved areas in Patras, in Yanina, as well as on the websites of the partners, and in this way the local community could receive a first taste of what was to come in the project and what the objectives of this program are. Then, on the 26th of February 2019, at the municipality of Sabba Caesarea in Italy, which is a partner of the project, where we have very significant spas, thermal springs, a conference on medical tourism was held. This here we see in this slide with the conference poster, which was shown in the media. We also see press releases that were posted on the websites, as well as in various Italian newspapers. This slide shows some photographs from the conference. Then on the 12th to the 14th of April 2019 in Patras, our project InMedTouR took part in the Patras IQ, very important innovation show which has to do with the transfer of know-how and the promotion of innovative products and services. We had a stand there, and we had a person who could provide information to visitors and to inform them about our project. Then on the 30th of May 2019 in May again, and in specific at the University of Patras, we had a stand where we distributed information material to medical students. The aim was to inform students and to to familiarize them with what medical tourism is. In Patras again, on the 13th of June 2019, at the conference centre, we held the first seminar, E-Day, Info Day, and this was open to the public. There, we presented the progress in the implementation of the project, and there were very interesting presentations by great speakers on the strategy for the growth of health tourism and thermal springs. We see some photographs here which were shown and promoted on local media and on social media. We see the conference poster. Then, on the 12th and 13th December 2019, at our other partner, the Chamber of Commerce of Brindisi in Italy, we had another international conference on medical tourism. This focused on the prospects and strategies and actions being implemented in medical tourism. We had great speakers from many countries, from Russia, Turkey, Italy, Greece, and beyond. They presented the global trends in medical tourism, best practices and models, and the characteristics of the Italian market. We see here the conference poster and some photographs from this important event. We are still in the pre-COVID era. On the 7th of February 2020, last year, at the Conference Centre of Tel Aviv, we had the International Fair IMDM. This exhibition is held once a year, and it's a great event because it is open for participation to all those involved in medical tourism, so hotels, accommodation providers, travel agents. It is very popular. It has about 20,000 visitors a year, and it has great participation in terms of exhibitors. It focuses mainly on the tourist promotion in the area of the Mediterranean, and this is a large-scale event. And there, InMedTouR participated with a stand with representatives of the project who provided information to visitors about the actions implemented and what we're doing as part of the project. And it gave us the opportunity to promote ourselves and to network with other stakeholders in tourism and to set the foundations for future partnerships. In 2020, as you know, we saw the outbreak of the COVID pandemic. So some of the info days that had been planned originally, given the restrictions due to COVID, these did not take place physically in Greece. They had to be conducted online, unfortunately, on the 23rd of September, 24th, 25th, then in Mesologi and Pyrgos on a few other dates. On the 14th and 15th of December 2020, we had another international conference on medical tourism, which, given the restrictions, was held only online, while it was planned to be a physical event. This focused on medical tourism in various aspects of this. So medical tourism as regards dental care, as regards services for IVF and fertility, well-being, and cosmetic medicine. So participants could attend this online. And here we see the conference poster. And here we also have some printed material that we created and the press release about the conference, which called interested parties to take part. on the 27th of April to 6th of May 2021, and still under restrictions due to COVID. We had some online seminars aimed at presenting the platform to medical and health service providers. We had similar seminars through the platform and through Zoom on the Italian side from May to June 2021. Here we see the posters created for all significant events. It's in 3 languages, Greek, English and Italian. In this slide we can see the advertising material created, some folders, some tote bags, brochures that were distributed throughout the duration of the project. Thank you very much for taking part in this conference. For yet another time, I would like to invite you to visit our website and like us on Facebook so that you can stay updated about the project. Thank you very much for your participation. I hope that everything goes well, and I believe that the program contributed to the spread of medical tourism and to making it better known. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bravo, for the very interesting presentation of the advertising activities of the project. At this point, I would like to welcome from Brindisi Mr. Zancallo Piccirillo, who is responsible for tourism from the Chamber of Brindisi. He's going to talk about the strategy for the development of medical tourism in Puglia.
Good morning from Italy. I would like to thank the coordinator of this conference for inviting me to host this event. With this pitch, I want to showcase the key steps taken in the study of the strategy for the development of health tourism in Puglia, which was part of our joint project. First and foremost, First and foremost, let's begin with the objectives. The study aims to support Puglia's operators and government in maximizing their assets, so they can reposition themselves and build new tourist products in the field of health tourism. This strategic focus is consistent with the current regional tourism policies, namely balancing the seasonal nature of incoming flows, and second, extended the benefits of tourism to larger outlying areas within the region. Any work of health tourism conducted in 2021 cannot disregard the pivotal changes occurring in the world around us. Let's start with a statistic. According to Booking.com, 70% of people now book only if they are informed about the health and hygiene measures that are being taken on the premises. While 2/3 around the world, of course, they say they are only willing to visit destinations where medical checkups are carried out on arrival. This means that well-being and the prevention of disease are becoming increasingly valued as a priority and driver of decision-making amongst tourists, developing a holistic concept of wellness. Secondly, the study defined health tourism as its subsector. To do so, we drew up a concept map that serves as a guide for the destination strategy. In line with the NWTO and the European Travel Commission, we gave the following definition. The framework of health tourism for Puglia includes trips taken for reasons that involve physical, mental, and/or spiritual health, which combine tourist services with medical and/or wellness-based activities. If we attempt to dissect this definition, we find two elements: the travel, thus the use the touristic services, and the traveler's condition, the presence of a illness or the intention to avoid one. But what really matters are two further elements: the purpose. The trip is taken to improve the traveler's physical, mental, and or spiritual health with different degree, and for holiday leisures, of course. And the services. Touristic services are combined with specialized healthcare services with different degree of specialization. We can now place the various subcategories within this concept map. The extent of the medical reasons and services determine the characteristics of the various subtypes of health tourism, which are the healthcare system, tourism system, strictly speaking, thermal and medical tourism, the wellness tourism, spa and resort, and also the leisure, the generalistic tourism, that means accessible tourism for all, senior travelers and chronic patients, and safe tourism for all tourists, including healthy ones, as we said before. Countries around the world are strategically investing in health tourism by following different approaches. We can reconstruct 5 models of the champion and the champion for each of them. The first category, some countries have focused on the excellence of their healthcare system. The country championing this type of model are the USA, the UK, Israel, and Germany. The second category is made up of countries that have focused on cost efficiency, like Turkey, Croatia, India, and Poland. In the third category, we found countries that have developed an integrated model between health system and tourism system. The country championing this type of model are Spain, Portugal, Malaysia, and Emirates, Arab Emirates. In the fourth category, we found countries that promote health tourism as focusing on a model of well-being. The destination champion is this type of model are Indonesia, especially the Isle of Bali and Thailand. The last category is made up of accessible destination for tourists in need of ongoing health services. Portugal's capability to attract older tourists is becoming a global case study. The Puglia's potential. This region is a typical Mediterranean destination. 2 international airports, both small and medium-sized cities, 900 kilometers of coastline, and a Mediterranean climate. An environment that is not too spoiled and is relatively untouched by humans. A wealth of food, of wine, and ease of accessibility. Puglia has numerous excellent facilities for the treatments of severe conditions like that. In Puglia, there is no shortage of spa locations and facilities, and they offer interesting options that meet the full range of customer needs, whether they want to undergo full treatment sessions for various illness or simply want to indulge in wellness and beauty treatments. Thanks to the potential summarized above, Puglia could become a primary destination for health and well-being in Italy and in the Mediterranean area. If we want to situate Puglia's market position in this regard within the concept map previously described, we could specify that the destination's priority mission will be to respond to the need for holidays combined with mental and physical recovery needs. with services mostly focused on well-being and prevention, as well as on treating illness spa therapies. Developing this sector within the region is a long and a complex process that can make the vision in reality, with 5 subsequent steps. The first step is mapping. Through the InMedTouR project, through our project, we made an initial mapping of all the operator and services available to tourist patients and patient tourists. The second step is policies, of course. Our plan has identified some precise points that it's necessary to legislate and coordinate with national policies. The third step is to improve network amongst operators. Network of we have in Puglia intention to improve 3 types of networks. First, network of regional spas just born thanks to our project. Leisure product clubs, regenerative tourism, accessible tourism, and silver tourism. And the third category of network is the real health tourism cluster that we started to build with this project. The first steps of our action plan is to build a one-stop website, easily integrated with the destination website, where it can present its health and well-being proposal to the world. The last steps is the marketing action plan linked to the new value that the region wants to promote health and well-being, and to the presence and the prominence across the various marketing information channels. To conclude, by maximizing these assets, Puglia can put itself forward more prominently and in an increasingly organized way as a Mediterranean health and well-being destination, where taking a holiday and taking care of yourself are synonymous. Thanks for sharing with us this project. I'll leave the floor to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining our proceedings today. For your info, I can also inform you that from Monday on, you will be able to follow our proceedings in English as well on our channel on YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Piccirillo, the tourism consultant of the Chamber of Brindisi, for a very interesting presentation of the health service products based on the specific importance of health tourism, and it was an interesting classification of the areas that have best practices in health tourism, depending on whether they offer a high level of medical services, such as countries such as the States, or if their competitive advantage is the low cost compared to other countries such as Turkey. Some other countries who are specialized in the integration of health and tourist services in a package, and other countries whose competitive advantage is well-being services. He spoke about the prospects for the development of health tourism in Puglia. At this point, I would like to welcome Mr. Gerasimus Bernardus, who is a professor at the University of Patra, who is going to present the InMedTouR Facilitator platform. Good afternoon. Good morning. It is my joy to be here and to present the platform we have created, aimed to create and to facilitate the the sale of health tourism products. This can greatly help the economic development of areas even in times and seasons when we have low demand. This is a smart information system which concerns the providers of medical services, the providers of tourist services, travel agents, intermediates, and of course the interested users who want to buy an integrated product of tourist medical tourism. Medical service providers are divided into three categories: tourism for welfare, curative tourism, and medical tourism, where it's dedicated to medical services. The providers of tourist services are hotels or catering services, restaurants. Then we have travel agents that help in connecting tourists with businesses that provide products on medical tourism through IT systems for bookings. Now, intermediaries, brokers who provide integrated products, and obviously then we have the interested tourists seeking medical services or well-being services or curative services. Now, let's look at the steps that have to be followed through the platform. Interested users select the services that they want. These have to be health services and additional services such as accommodation, travel, restaurants, or even tourist services that have to do with culture. So interested parties set their priorities as regards the characteristics of the services they have selected. The system selects the best providers per category of services based on the priorities set or the profile created by the user, and of course based on the classification of the services by previous users. This system automatically proposes integrated packages. The interested users evaluate them and select one of these, which is promoted to the corresponding service providers. Here we see essentially how the platform operates. It is a database with various profiles of businesses, users, of clinics and doctors. It has a database with videos and images and rich content which facilitates the provision of information. And in specific, let's have a look at an example here. We have a system. It's a recommender system that proposes products and services. So these are things that users with a similar profile with that user have selected. In parallel, we have additional products that actually fit the user profile, aiming to increase the linked sales. The system also has a school management system, which a comment classification system. It automatically calculates to see if a comment is positive or negative. It's very important that it also has an email function. This is an automated email management system which reports every question to every appropriate administrator, and it creates a log of communication. Here we see how you can fill in your data, the subject concerned, for example here spa tourism, and to write text with their Question. This email is sent and is managed by the corresponding administrator. Now let's have a look at simple users. These are the potential tourists. Tourists are medical tourism. They enter into the environment. They will be taken to the following screen when they need to enter all their personal information and their email, and they must accept they must accept their consent for the processing of personal data and proceed with the registration. Once they enter their data, they click register. They need to confirm this via their email. They get an automatic confirmation email sent to them. They go on, they create their personal profile to be able to receive personalized information based on their characteristics and needs. They can edit their profile, they can store and update their information. By clicking update, interested parties can seek either specific health services or medical service packages that include accommodation, travel, by selecting search for a medical service. Initially, they choose the geographical area they're interested in, then the category and the subcategory of medical services they're interested in. Once they are finished choosing, they select submit. And of course their cost. Here, interested parties can see the provider by clicking on each provider, and they can also select a package of services by clicking select package. To see the results, they click submit. Here we see that once they have followed the procedure I told you about, we get a display of providers that match the characteristics they have set. They can see in detail each provider. Here we see a provider of accommodation and a provider of medical services. By clicking on these, they can see more information, photographs, contact data, and to be taken to their website. If they click individual medical service providers or a combined package, we see the following message regarding the information sent to the providers regarding the request. When the users complete their travel and their medical service that they received, they can rate the accommodation and the medical service provider by selecting here the name of the provider and evaluating the service they received. The evaluation is based on a star rating. 1 star is minimum satisfaction and 5 stars maximum satisfaction per category. If users want, they can fill in more information by entering free text. The same can be done for the accommodation services. If there is any technical or communication problem, the platform offers users the ability to contact administrators by sending a simple message and selecting post issue on the bar at the top. So there they can write their problem, and the system administrator will receive the message and will look on how to resolve it. There is a possibility of ICT tools which offer various reports with useful information. Report 1 shows the evaluations of users for specific time periods and characteristics between health service providers or accommodation services. Report number 2 displays the characteristics of a health service provider and an accommodation service provider, where these two can be compared. Report number 3, users can compare health services in a specific geographical region where they want to travel to. Finally, report 4 allows users to see the positive or negative comments for a health service provider or an accommodation. Here we see the profile of the medical service provider. It's a kind of similar to that for simple users. We have the completion of data for the registration. To complete the registration, they need to follow the instruction in the confirmation link. The provider enters by logging in. Here we see that they can enter their data and edit their profile, and when they are happy with that, they select update. They can update their profile whenever they want. In the medical destination information section, they fill in the basic data required. The system administrator updates the user administration sets their price list, the services offered, and the price per medical operation or per day. Of course, we have set periods for this. In the medical services characteristics section, providers fill in the personalized services they can offer or the additional services they can offer in their facilities. They also have the ability to upload in the platform files and enriched advertising videos. In order to communicate with the platform administrators, they can post an issue. In report number 1, they see the positive and negative comments they have received from users, both in percentage rates as well as actual comments and graphs to be able to improve their services. In report number 2, they can seek for a comment by a user about a specific issue and see how competitors are doing. Report number 3 presents the health service providers in the area, so that his competitors. And now, we move on to the tourist providers profile, which is usually hotels or restaurants. Again, they need to fill in their data and confirm them. They get a confirmation email. They enter their profile and select update. They select the name as well as the characteristics. They fill in all the services they provide and they set the prices for the offered package. They can select different prices depending on season, and they update. Now, to contact the platform administrators if there's a problem, again, they can post an issue. Now, as regards the ICT tools, tourist providers can see the positive and negative comments received. They can see these in comment form or as charts. In report number 2, they can see where other providers have done really well over the same period. And in report number 3, they can see all the tourist service providers in their area. Finally, we move on to the middleman service provider, who can create a comprehensive package. They register in the homepage, obviously, filling in their email, password, and selecting register. They confirm through the confirmation email. In the main bar, they select edit middleman's profile and update their information. By selecting update, the platform shows them a confirmation message, and then they can start creating a series of profiles, both for medical providers that are contracted with them by selecting from the bar of medical providers, and then selecting new medical destination provider. In medical destination information, they fill in all the required fields. In medical services provided, the middleman can fill in the medical services they provide, that a contracted health service provider provides, set the package price, the daily price, and the overall price over a specific period of time. In the field medical service characteristics, they note the services provided by the health service provider. In the last field, upload files, users can upload photos and files and videos. When they complete their profile, they press submit to create the package. For another package, they need to repeat the process. Then from the toolbar, they select tourist provider to create one or more tourist providers. They select create new and continue. They continue with the creation of a tourist destination by selecting all the areas that are available by the accommodation, and fills in the accommodation cost based on low, mid, high season, and sets the date. When they complete this, they click submit to create more services. From the central toolbar, the middleman can create offer packages for medical and tourist services. They can select one or more combination of medical and service providers for the period required, where they want to advertise a promotion. If they address the target specific groups, they might disclose this in the comments. To communicate with the platform administrators, they can submit a query for a technical problem and post an issue. Using the ICT tools, middlemen can, through report 1, select and see positive or negative comments received by the platform users for a medical or tourist provider. The comments can be seen here as percentages, or as comments, or as charts. In report number 2, middlemen can seek the comments of users to see where a medical or tourist provider has fared well. In report number 3, we can select either a medical service provider or a tourist service provider, and to see all that exists in a specific area. Thank you for your attention. Thanks. Thank you very much, Mr. Panis. It was a very interesting presentation of this tool, which I think that is a very significant tool of the project, and it's very significant that we have lots of providers participating in this, because any tool is as successful as its participants allow it to be. So given that, we would like you all to visit the platform and register. Now we're going to have a break, and we will return at 12 o'clock with interesting speakers who are going to talk about in the next session. Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to the next session of today's conference. I would like to thank for being here Mrs. Irini Tolli, the president of HAPCO, and I would like to thank her for participating and invite her to take the floor. Good morning. I know I'm the guest of honor, and ladies and gentlemen, dear honored guests, I represent the Greek Association of the events organizers, and thank you for inviting me to our conference, and thank you for organizing this excellent conference, and I hope that everything goes really well for the conference. At such a critical juncture because of the pandemic, tourism is heavily hit from March 2020 up until definitely the first semester in the best case scenario of 2022. So the support by the state to our sector and synergies and collaborations and collective efforts are more important than ever. The pandemic, unfortunately, led Greek tourism in all its forms. It found it at it dealt it the last blow because we were on an upwards course and with good forecast. In 2019, the tourist industry had grown on a European and global level, and Greece had become it had come to its rightful position. On the European medical tourism map, was in the 13th position and 21st in the global position. Athens was in 17th place and Thessaloniki was in 31st place globally, the two large cities of the country and its regions truly took huge leaps, always based on the efforts of their professionals, the accommodation services, conference centres, all those who work together to make a strong conference or event. Our association, we've changed a little bit our name because now we've included destinations. So, representing all professions that have to do with conference tourism has a mission to continuously support conference tourism and the tourist product of our country through training, know-how and synergies between professionals in the industry, the development and boosting of the Greek conference identity, and the highlighting of the importance of conferences for societies, aiming to highlight our identity to all government authorities and representatives of international organizations. Many people have not yet understood that tourism is nothing, it's not divided into different things. It's not only sea and sun. One of the things that tourism is conference tourism. The market for tourism and specific of MICE, meetings, incentives, congress tourism, so business meetings, conferences, events and exhibitions, is a thematic form of business tourism without seasonality, with the highest consumption rate per delegate or participant in comparison to other forms of tourism. So we're talking about any kind of meeting between any kind of delegate in any field. These are usually organized by an association or a company aiming to promote its business interest, giving motives for participant and incentives. So, we're talking about congresses, pharmaceutical conferences, company businesses, scientific conferences, association, educational, training conferences. Finally, we have exhibitions. And that are the meetings of various competitor exhibitors of a specific sector that aim to promote their products and the interests of their sector. And of course, there's a vision by the entire industry to have great exhibitions or events such as Eurovision, which, if it was not called Eurovision, but we can have a Mediterranean similar thing, which this would be a target that would be set by the state in collaboration with professionals to promote the country globally. However, the pandemic, apart from the financial disaster it caused in various sectors and specifically in tourism, we had a drop of 80%, so compared to 2019. It left people, professionals and everyone else, with a feeling that health is the most important thing in their lives as an indicator of quality of life. In this context, highlighting other forms of tourism such as spa tourism, sports tourism, sea tourism, religious tourism, ecotourism, tours in traditional villages, to natural protected areas and trails, combined with conferences, is starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. But moving specifically to medical tourism, it is a developing form of tourism that has to do with traveling in Greece and outside of people with health problems who are seeking medical services. Our country, having a Mediterranean climate, a natural richness, a Mediterranean healthy diet, historical and cultural heritage, and of course the globally acknowledged medical and nursing staff, in combination with the cost efficient hotel infrastructure, can stand on a par with other countries. The Greek medical community should seek Greek scientists who are faring well abroad and use them as ambassadors of Greece, so that with the support of the state and the collaboration of all authorities, medical tourism can be developed. Finally, I would like to say that the collaboration of all authorities is a structural part for the development of medical tourism and its products, but always following what Hippocrates said that medicine should be. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Tolley. She talked about elements of business tourism and how this can help combat the problem of seasonality and increase the amounts spent by each person, and on how health tourism and welfare tourism, well-being tourism can be developed in the post-COVID era. We are going to move on. We have the honor of welcoming Mr. Alexandros Vasilikos, the president of the Association Chamber of Hotels. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. First of all, I want to say I don't have a good connection So if needed, if we have a problem, I'm going to give my place to Mrs. Dionysopoulou and to move to a nearby hotel to connect again. Thank you very much for inviting me. I want to congratulate the Ministry for this initiative. It is very important to have these actions and these fora for discussion to be able, at last, as a country, to claim a part of this very big and growing pie, which is medical tourism. I should say that from November 2012, the Chamber of Hotels had participated in the first event on the development of medical tourism in Greece. It was a study that was actually used as a basis for many other studies, and I'm very happy about that. But today's presentation of the results of InMedTouR really shows us what should happen in the day after. Specifically, we have the characteristics of medical tourism, which we should decide that the day after COVID should be something different. It's very important to understand, everyone involved in tourism, that many of us used to say that even before the pandemic, but we should say that we should not re-enter a kind of thought based on quantity criteria, but it's quality criteria that can bring about sustainable development that we need as a sector and as a country. It's very important to understand that this is the prerequisite and the common denominator for anything that we discuss from now on. And just so that I'm not misunderstood, this does not mean that in the future we will not have charter tourism, mass tourism, all-inclusive hotels and all that. Yes, all this will continue. And it's very obviously that these are international trends that are addressed to mass culture and travel. What is tour operating? It's the grouping of travel for 100, 200 people on a chartered flight so that the price is much lower and more attractive so that all strata of society can travel. It's not chosen by the hotel or by the island that I want to have mass tourism. It's a form of tourism that is mass produced because so it's not going to stop existing, but it's very important to find a balance between mass tourism, whose model does raise some questions such as seasonality. Seasonality is not a Greek problem. Perhaps it's more evident in Greece, but it exists everywhere. But seasonality also comes from the fact that August is internationally the holiday month. This is not going to change, and we're not going to change that. But we come a bit closer to what we're discussing today. Now, with the decisions that we're taking and the strategic planning we're applying for the post-COVID era, we can define in parallel with traditional form of tourism, other forms of tourism that come to add the quality characteristics that we need. So as I said, we've had almost 10 years have gone by since the first study we had in 2012, but unfortunately, some of the things that it discusses are still relevant, which means that not many steps have been taken to gain a part of the pie that we should all know that its quality characteristics are perhaps the most important, the most beneficial for destination compared to other forms of tourism. So usually we're talking about well-off people who come here to spend. Usually they don't stay a few days and they have a spending much higher than any other group. So it's definitely something that we're interested in. Another characteristic that we should take in mind is that it's a form of tourism that operates and activates a large ecosystem of services. It's purely hotel services, tourist services, restaurants, transport, health providers, insurance companies, certification companies, but it's a very wide range of companies. So this means that it covers a huge range of professions, and what we want at our chamber, as you know, is to promote the collaboration between different professions. And this comes, first of all, to capitalize and to combine two benefits that we have as a country. First of all, our tourist characteristics, the climate, the experience that we have in providing tourist services, because there are other countries that provide medical services, but they're not known as a tourist destination. So we're lucky because we have this service and know-how and experience. And at the same time, in the health sector, we also have a very developed know-how. We have infrastructure. We're going to talk about them. They have some problems, positives and negatives, but definitely we have highly trained and acclaimed medical staff. So we're not starting from zero, because already we do have medical tourism in Greece, but it's not so officially established and organized as part of a general strategy, which would bring multiplier benefits. This does not reduce the value of the fact that today we have many people who visit our country, for example, for IVF, which is not allowed by legislation in many other countries, and mainly I'm talking about near mid eastern countries, or for dental services, for dialysis, because there are not enough facilities in Greece yet. But to complete this thing, we have to capitalize on, and in many sectors we have internationally acclaimed level of medical services in rehabilitation and spas and plastic surgery and dentistry. And regarding dentistry, we should say that it's also very cost effective, much more so in Greece than other countries. So this alone is an incentive to visit Greece. Eye surgeries, and of course, all these things can be brought together through a strategy. So it's very important to talk about all this, all the work done by the ministry, because all this should be brought together and acquire a new dimension for medical tourism in the country. It is a form of tourism that we want, we need, and we need this because, as I said earlier on, it comes to combat, for example, seasonality, the intense seasonality that we experience in Greece, because the people who come off season or they come for longer times, especially the silver generation, want to live in a sunny country, from leaving Scandinavia or whatever, coming to south areas of Greece. We have a very broad range of people. We should focus on the benefits of the country. We should focus also on our disadvantages and to see how we can tackle these to be able to create a productive strategic mix for the future. We do have a strong know-how in accommodation. We have very specialized medical staff, which, let's not forget, through brain drain has left Greece. So this is an opportunity to bring medical staff back. We have robust medical groups in Greece, and this offers flexibility in doing targeted actions, and in terms of quantity, we have a very open public hospital network, and this is also important. And I'm just going to say a couple of basic characteristics because obviously we have much more, but I'm going to be brief because we don't have time. So we should have a look at the disadvantages as well, because we can't talk only about the benefits and the advantages. We need to have institutional interventions, to have transnational agreements with foreign funds, to be able to have in our countries visits by for medical services covered by insurance funds abroad. Already, this has been taking place in some other countries. We also need, and this is important for me, because this connects all that we've talked about and all that we stand for as a Chamber of Hotels. So we need to help local societies join their forces for this. So medical tourism should start to delete to do away with the distinction between visitors and permanent residents. Obviously, there will still be tourists and people who live somewhere always, but we should bring them closer as regards the characteristics they're both seeking. So, talking about small islands, for example, in hospitals, the hospitals won't be set up for tourists, but for the locals as well. But they need to be able to have the capacity to serve tourists as well in the summer. This obviously we're talking about different sizes of population in Folegandros, for example, in the winter and in the summer. But our hospitals, perhaps not all of them on site because this is not sustainable, but in an island complex, when some using some transport means, we need to make people feel safe even before someone visits an island for medical reasons. We need, first of all, to make them feel safe, even if they go as a healthy tourist, that they will have a hospital to look after them. And this obviously stands for the local residents as well. So we should give the image of a country with organized hospitals. And here we'll start from a good place, which we did not have before the pandemic. It's the up until now very good and a recognized management of the pandemic in our country, and this is something we should focus on and capitalize on overall in general and in medical tourism in specific. So, as Mrs. Tolley correctly said, synergies, collaborations are the key here between people in the private sector, organizations of the public sector, ministries, and between private individuals to manage through their common efforts and through the efforts that you presented here today to draw a strategy for the day after, to apply it and achieve sustainable solutions with tremendous added value for all stakeholders in medical tourism. As I said, I just gave very few examples and best practices because of time constraints, but for hours we could stay here analyzing these parameters. But it's important at last to start the discussion on the strategy on the development of medical tourism. So to finish, we need to make the most of the many advantages that our country has in the field of medical tourism and in medicine in general, and we need to combat the lack of institutionalized actions and strategies to manage very quickly, to have real results. We do have low-hanging fruits, but we have examples that we can easily apply to become quickly recognized as a country in many different fields of medicine in combination with tourism. Thank you very much. I am available for any questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Vasilikos. You gave us very important conversation. I'll take from this the need to move away from quantity data before the pandemic and to combat seasonality, which is produced by mass tourism, and how we should shift our attention to the characteristics, the quality characteristics of medical tourists. And I think that everyone in this sector, we're talking about a sector with many priorities, and we have a lot of stakeholders in this issue. You talked about the need to capitalize on the comparative advantages of Greece. It's an acclaimed tourist destination with high level scientific services in the medical sector. The product already exists. My wife is a doctor, so as you understand, I know this. So yes, so your family is basically what all this conference is about, and synergies between tourism and medicine. Yes, we have a very good institutional framework for IVF and competitive services in as regards costs in Greece. I also It was also interesting that you said that we need to capitalize on our positive reputation and brand name of Greece in handling the pandemic, and that we all of us should create synergies so that the day after should not look like the day before. Thank you very much for all this information. I would now like to welcome Mrs. Dionysopoulou, the head of the Tourist Policy Department of the Ministry. Thank you very much. I think that there's some interference and perhaps you can hear me very well. Perhaps everyone should switch off their microphone, or I don't know what the problem is. I can hear a lot of noise. I don't know if our technician can help with that. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you clearly. I hear interference. Mr. Vasilikos, Mrs. Tolye? Oh, yeah, we can hear clearly. Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Apostolopoulou, the head of the department. What I want to say is that I'm very happy that to be amongst people I've collaborated with more or less greatly in our joint course towards a common target, Mrs. Tolley and Mr. Vasilikos. I'm very happy about that. Already, I believe that we've had a very productive presentation of stakeholders, representatives, people who share our vision as regards the thematic tourism and the strategies for this, and especially synergies through governance procedure and through the combination of all our forces that we all bring to the table towards our common objective. So in this procedure, I believe that planning for the day after to restart tourism on a global level is the large challenge of 2021, and it can take place with the right conditions by adjusting ourselves to the new circumstances. At this point, I would like to share my screen. Can you see it? Okay, yes. Perhaps you can enter full mode. No, okay. Okay. Okay, so You can click F5 to enter full screen mode. I can hear something. Full what? You need to press F5 so that we can see your presentation. Ah, good, yeah. But I don't know. Please, Elia, tell the technician I can hear the general. I don't know if you can hear it. No, we can hear you clearly. Okay, I'll move on. Can you hear me? The planning for the day after, for the restart of tourism on a global level, is a large challenge of 2021, and this innovative strategy for medical tourism in the context of the InMedTouR project is a tool that should shape the right conditions, new data, innovative strategies in the project as part of the project we're presenting. This conference is an opportunity to highlight the contribution of medical tourism and to see what will happen when this. And in this context, for us, it's very important to see the issues you raised, because it's going to help to see what questions we have as regards medical services and tackling the challenges we face there. In specific, there are issues regarding the need to enrich health tourism through the collaboration of regional and local stakeholders, the support for regions with specific types of medical tourism, such as, for example, areas that have thermal springs, and we should focus on medical tourism facilitation, and we should also focus on these because they are the connecting link between tourism and medicine. And we should also acknowledge the changes in the demographic mix, so to create new infrastructure for silver tourism. Can you hear me? Yes. So it was deemed necessary to focus on the silver generation, which has specific needs, and this creates opportunities, such as the opportunity for specialized, personalized healthcare services, tax incentives for buying second homes. So issues that have been raised, and these are interesting points for the day after in medical tourism, obviously making the most of new technologies and new trends in hospital units and the digital nomads that come who work in Greece is also something that will also help our strategy for medical tourism. You presented the results, we presented the results of various work groups dedicated to various issues that are related to medical tourism, such as certification, and we saw how we should change the legal framework for these things, such as IVF. Mr. Vasilikos talked about what we have a comparative advantage in, and this is one. There was a highlighting of the need to support people with motor and other problems. We saw the need to highlight medical tourism as an important aspect of tourism in the post-COVID era. These are all interesting and important features, that need to be discussed, and we note that the targets and the objectives of the Ministry of Tourism are in the same direction of promoting the competitiveness of a sector that has a lot to offer and a lot of bespoke personalized services to give to visitors. Greece is a recognized tourist destination. It meets a number of criteria that allows it to have to claim a great share of the medical tourism pie on a global scale. Given factors such as its geographical position, its mild Mediterranean climate, the ever improving infrastructure, the great investments now made in the private and public health sector, the great training of medical and nursing staff, and the high and the ability of most of them usually to speak English. All these render Greece an important competitor on a global scale. Patient tourists, so prospective consumers, place great emphasis on the effective treatments provided, the cost of services, insurance, travel time from their countries of origin, and how close the hotel infrastructure is to the healthcare facilities they will use, the good service, good quality of services provided, both to them and to their escorts. Now, health tourism is actually a connection of health travel with an opportunity to enjoy the sights in the country one is going to, and to create a series of themed offerings through a specialized tailor-made package tour that will take into account the patient's needs and the needs of their escorts, representing an innovative tourist offering, providing the opportunity to involved parties to enjoy an area, but taking into account the patient's needs and the needs they have as tourists, as consumers. Essentially, we want to see them coming back to Greece. It's already been stressed that at the conference here and by the representatives of authorities that we need to have an integrated development plan for medical tourism at a regional level. Also, healthcare has been identified as an upwards international trend in the global economy. In Greece, it is recognized that healthcare travel is a new source of financial activity based on a network of specialized hospitals interconnecting medical services with holiday packages in an environment that is unique every time trying to attract visitors. So we can see here an analysis of the benefits. Obviously, some of them we know, some we need to strive for, and in this context, this conference that was held through the InMedTouR, and it's a very good tool for this in showing us what to do as a next step. So we should develop a new market, modernize the health sector through synergies in the transfer of know-how with the doctors, universities, hospitals, authorities abroad that can contribute to the further promotion of health tourism, the boosting of the financial growth that can be contribute to the to medical research, to hotels, to pharmaceutical companies, investing in human resources, in tourism. All these people need to be trained in accordance with European standards to offer competitive services of high quality. We need to prolong the season, the holiday season, and we know this already, as medical tourism can take place obviously throughout the year, developing urban tourism as medical tourism is developed usually because of the required infrastructure in large urban centers, which means that these could also be highlighted as city break destinations. Jobs are also created through this, through the development of any specific thematic form of tourism, which means the creation of new jobs. Not only in the sector of tourism specifically, but in all other sectors that are indirectly affected by the operation of the tourist sector. So, on a national and regional level, Greek health tourism, to medical tourism, to be able to be rendered competitive, has to look at the challenges it is called to face, and we have to look at the targets we have to set for the day after. We need to improve the quality of services offered for medical tourists, to support collaborations between stakeholders, which is necessary and very important, to implement a campaign for the promotion of medical tourism, to disseminate this in the region with specialized medical services outside cities, to create an item in the state budget for certifications, advertising, targeted programs for this sector, to make the most of programs for funding. So, the strategy and effort of the Ministry to promote medical tourism is implemented through the strategies adopted both in the framework of the implementation of the EU Directive for Transnational Collaboration, according to which insured parties from other countries can come to Greece, basically in accordance with the law. So Greece as a destination is facilitating these procedures, especially for pensioners who are opting to come and live in our country, and allows them to cover their medical expenses in Greece through their funds in their other countries, and health and medical tourism based on this law includes medical tourism, spa, thermal tourism, well-being tourism. So we have subcategories of health tourism, and each of them have specific characteristics and offer different dynamics in the field. So, medical tourism gives a very good dynamic and prospect in the global market. Medical tourists spend 5 to 10 times more than others, they stay for longer, and this obviously renders this market very important. So, together with the well-being tourism, which offers very specific needs, and here domestic tourists spend much more than international tourists, much above the accommodation cost of tourists visiting a destination without having a targeted need, such as the provision of well-being and rejuvenation services. And it's important to raise these issues. In addition, we need to have a look at how this can be interconnected with silver generation tourism, because older people need to feel that they are hosted in a safe environment with appropriate infrastructure adapted to their needs, either healthcare units or accommodation units. So here we've adopted the health protocols. So our country has a very good strategy as regards safety. It's very important. This is very important for tourists, especially for people who want to combine holidays by selecting issues of medical care, and of course, especially if they're older, they also want to have better healthcare services in general. So it's very important to cultivate further the relationship between patient mobility and the aging population by using this type of medical tourism, spas, welfare, well-being tourism, and here we need to have good collaborations with the key stakeholders in these fields and with the regions, with the local government. This is a key target to promote both our advantages and to manage to disseminate these best practices in other areas. So here, the development of health tourism upgrades the growth model of Greece, making the most and adopting international certifications for this group with collaborations with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the issue of visas, with specialized programs for the training of all those involved according to the specific characteristics of medical visitors. And of course, the other thing that the other source of the other tool is our participation in European programs and the knowledge exchanged with other countries through these, which better allow us to make the most of our dynamics, to identify our weaknesses and these challenges, and to aim to solve these in the future to be able to have a day ahead that's different from the past. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm available for questions, and I'm very happy that I was honored to be here with you today. Thank you. Thank you very much to the head of the Tourism Strategy Department. She summarized in a very constructive way all the presentations we saw yesterday and today, and she gave us a kind of overview of what will happen for the development of medical tourism. I would like to thank you all for attending, the speakers, attendees. You should know that the association for the link for live streaming is available online, and as of Monday it's going to be available in English as well. You can also visit our website and our Facebook page. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.